The following is a Roll Poll production. All right, fresh off the Tigers' 6-1 victory over the Kansas City Royals to improve the Tigers to an 11-8 record. Welcome to the Motor City Metrics podcast here at TigersMLReport.com. I am Roy Hillig. Still beside me is Uper and Mike. Hopefully Chris will be along shortly, as the Toledo Mud has just wrapped up everything tonight. The minor leagues are coming, as far as like just schedule goes for West Michigan won 2-1. They're now improved to 8-4 on the season. Toledo has just been kind of a rough sled as of late. They lost 7-6. They had a really bad inning, and then just things fell apart for them on the road as they played in Indianapolis. Lakeland improves to 6-6 on the year with a 6-4 victory over Dunedin, as Bryce Rayner came back in the lineup today and had, I believe, he had a walk. I'm not sure if he had a hit, but he was DHing. He had a quad injury, so he will be monitored. So I don't think he was going to play the field for a while. And the Sea Wolves lost to Akron 6-3 as Erie falls to 8-4 on the season. So that's going to be a good rivalry for Erie because Akron's really good, and it's just like with Lake County too, with Cleveland and everything, and the Tigers and all that. So Akron played Erie last year, and that's the Cleveland affiliate, and so the Tigers play Cleveland. So make sure you like and subscribe to the Motor City Metrics podcast or our YouTube channel on Tigers Minor League Report as well, as we just had Ashley interview Tiger prospect Trey Cruz, infielder utility guy, who's off to a really good start. Shouldn't be at AA, should be at AAA. And it's a matter of time before things will, we'll get to that. We'll get to AAA because there is some news involving Jason Foley. There's also just we saw Kyler Montero come up yesterday. Did a pretty good job. Well, I mean, he did lose, but he still looked pretty good with the 8 strikeouts and everything. I know that somebody's going to sit there and say, well, Roger, why were, Rogelio, da, da, da. There's some metrics that say that he did pretty well. So anyway, but yeah, so the Tigers came home today after they don't have a day off till next week. I think the 23rd or something like that. Or
they're in a stretch of 23 games in 24 days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a brutal.
Let's see. I got their schedule up right here. Looks like next off day is the 24th. That's next Friday, which is perfect because we'll have Pistons playoff basketball and the NFL draft. So
yeah. And by the way, before we get to the show proper, I mean, this is the first time since 2019. So technically, I mean, Chris and I were doing the show on a regular basis back then in 2019, which is weird to think about this way, but this marks the first time in quite a long time that the Pistons and Tigers are in the playoffs. So they are playing Saturday starting against the Knicks. Of course, what's his face? What's the guy's name? The national pundit.
Stephen A. Smith?
No, the other D-bag. Stephen Smith's fine. I don't mind him. The one that always kind of makes a point. No. He's on Fox. Colin Cowherd said that there's going to be more ejections for the Pistons than wins.
I guess there's going to be 5 ejections then, huh?
Yeah. Apparently he doesn't watch a single. He didn't mention the fact that the Knicks went 1-3 against the Pistons this year. So, I like what Bruce Jane said here, that AJ said that he's managing for a 180 game season, and yeah, that's true. And I know his lineups get a lot of criticism because of what they are and all that. So, by the way, we got a comment here. Yoop, looking good. Yoop, can hear and see you better. So yeah, that Tigers D is definitely, you got it framed right perfectly right now. It's like the light is just shining on you, man. It's
yeah. I'm also killing all the mosquitoes back there. There's some
exquisite.
Definitely exquisite that, but
well, thanks to WFG there. I appreciate it.
Yeah, a very nice comment. So yeah, so the Tigers, I don't know what happened in Milwaukee. I mean, they won the first game, no problem. Tarek Skubal did his thing, looked pretty good. And then the offense just sputtered to a halt, except for Torkelson who continues to hit a hot stick. He went 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and just continues to mash the ball. Riley Greene had 3 hits tonight, breaking out of the slump. I wrote an article about maybe possible. Like, again, here's the thing about the article I wrote. It's all baseball savant data. Just looking at it deeply, maybe there was something different because it seemed like he was not centering up the ball at all.
Yeah.
Just looked very off balance on his swing and everything. So I'm glad that I was wrong. I mean, again, it was just a theory of mine. I just sometimes with baseball, you just have to what you see, and you just kind of go for it from there. So
You got to believe. I mean, it's early in the season. There's going to be ups and downs. I think back to like about 10 years ago. J.D. Martinez went through a stretch where in about 40 at bats, he struck out 22 times and
21 times in 9 games. I posted it earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody thought he was, in big trouble in his career. He was fine. And Riley Greene will be fine, but I don't blame people for getting shook up over 1 for 32, and it was a very unsightly 1 for 32. But, we saw signs tonight. He came out and hit a couple balls on the button, and hopefully that leads to a couple more this weekend, and he'll be just fine as we roll along. I thought tonight, you hate to put everything on the first inning, but, man, Reese Olson comes out and lets the first 2 guys on base, and you're thinking Salvi Perez is looming. It's going to be 3-0 Royals here, and nobody even has sat in their seat yet in the stadium. But Olsen bobbed and weaved and got out of that inning, and that just set the tone for the night, I think, pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing about Reese Olson, too, is that when his changeups going like that, when he has got some really good fade action to it, it's a very unhittable pitch. And he has kind of bulldogged his last couple starts, but tonight he kind of settled down and became the efficient machine that he can be. Mm-hmm. And so 87 pitches, 53 for strikes. And it's still early in the season, but, I mean, when you have Tyler Holden going out there throwing 15 pitches, 10 for strikes, and Mr. Efficiency himself, then it bears well, too. And the third save of the year for Tommy, I can never say this right. Why am I? Is it Kane? Is it
Canely?
Canely. Yeah, Canely. Yeah, Tommy Canely. Yeah, Tommy Canely going out there, and the bullpen, the pitching is always going to be there. It's just a matter of whether the offense is going to be there or not. As a Salvador Perez fantasy baseball owner, the age is starting to show a little bit there, so I'm not worried about him as much as I used to. But Mike, what were your takeaways from earlier in the game today?
I mean, it's just really good to see you kind of have the big core expected guys kind of contributing. I kind of went all in on how I was pissed at the Tigers offseason additions last week in terms of offense. But like you said, Canely is looking pretty good. He threw, I think, his 3rd and 4th fastball of the season tonight in his 7 innings of work. And Benetti was loving it on the air when he threw the first one. But I don't know, you just saw consistent contributions. Like you said, we had Kerry Carpenter with 3 hits. You had Gleyber Torres with 2, Riley Greene with 3, Spencer Torkelson with 2. And then Dylan Dingler, who is still one of those guys that's really contributing offensively. He also added another hit. So it's nice to see those core guys. Now, I wish I was adding Colt Keith to that list. But, he's still off in his slump.
Yeah.
But, I mean, right now, they have a bunch of guys on offense that are able to go off. And what happened tonight is everybody kind of got a couple hits. I mean, they only scored 6 runs, but like you said, Roger, the pitching was there. And it seems like it's going to be there a lot of the time. It just depends if the offense is going to show up.
It was I saw that lineup today, and I said, AJ Hinch is going to win this game just because he got McKinstry in a 3-hole. It was so funny to look at it. You just kind of knew that was going to work. He didn't really do as much. He scored a run or 2. That was fine, but that was just kind of fun to see him put in there. And when you think about how the lineup is constructed, and with a righty like Lorenzen on the mound, wasn't the worst idea in the world the way McKinstry has been rolling along.
No, and the thing is that McKinstry's putting the ball in the air. He's making good swing decisions out there. Yep. He's always the guy who's always going to drive the count up. And so he's a smart baseball player, and the fact that you can put him anywhere helps. And what gets lost upon here too is that Kerry Carpenter is still just again just kind of a model of consistency as well. When there's a right-hander in the lineup, he had 3 hits tonight. He went 3 for 5, and so that sets up McKinstry because you have Carpenter right there in front of you, and he's going to walk, and then you have Torkelson that's going to get on. So there's kind of like there's a strategy involved with this. I mean, I know it is very obvious that that's what's going on, but it's a luxury that the Tigers. The top of the order this year, even with Gleyber Torres too, he went for 2 for 5 this evening. There's production on every part on the top of the order, whereas last year it was very, very inconsistent. And except for Milwaukee, again, Jose Quintana has not pitched that well against the Tigers since 2015, 2016. I looked it up. Yeah. The last start he had where he allowed 3 runs or less was like 2016. So we're talking when Mike was in high school. I mean, basically.
What the hell? How young do you think I am, son?
No. I was trying to butter you up there, Pat. Come on, man. It's like, and Daly Ninjabees is dead on. The Royals better keep Witt healthy. Their lineup looks pathetic. Amen to that. I mean, it is. Bobby Witt Jr. is probably an MVP candidate. I mean, this guy's going to be MVP candidate year in, year out. I mean, imagine him with a little bit of protection. I mean, Jonathan India got blasted in the face a couple of weeks ago by Class A. He hasn't been the same since, but I going into the season though, you look at those moves they made with India, you thought, hey, I mean that was a smart move there, and
he's a good player, but he's not protection for Witt. He's not, he's gonna be on base for him, I suppose, but you heard a lot about the Royals in the offseason. A lot of people thought they were going to be good, but you look at the lineup, there's not many guys that are scary past Bobby Witt. I mean, that's a fact now. As you mentioned, Sal Perez is on the downside, and it's natural for a catcher that age. Now, if you keep him in the park, how's he going to hurt you? He can't run.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, did you guys know? I mean, I know it's early, but the Tigers have they've scored the 3rd most runs in the American League. Kansas City is the 3rd least. And that is not really what I expected to see at this point in the season.
Well, that should play into the Tigers. I mean, with the Tigers pitching staff, I would hope that, in their 13 games this year, they can really just keep the Royals under wraps. Now, maybe they'll come out tomorrow and score 7 runs. Who knows? But I just think that looking at that lineup and what they have to send out there on a daily basis, I got to believe Detroit can outpitch them 9 times out of 13 in the course of the season series this year.
There was some talk, though, that the Royals had a better rotation, though, as far as like just because based off, outside Michael Lorenzen, I mean, they have, if you're looking at who the Royals' top guys are, I think
Cole Reagan.
Yeah, Cole Reagan was considered a Cy Young possibility, right? I mean, that's what they're talking about. Seth Lugo, coming back. I don't know about that.
They're starting. They have some fine starting pitchers. I just think when you compare the two offenses, Detroit's offense should give their pitching staff more trouble than Kansas City's offense should give the Tigers' pitching staff trouble. I guess that's what I was trying to say poorly.
No, okay, that makes sense. No, and I see what you're saying, but I also expected Kansas City's pitching staff to be a little better. I mean, again, it's one game in. We're not, it's something that could still happen. I mean, they're in for a 4-game series, so. But it is, again, April baseball is such a weird thing, because this Royals team could come in and be gangbusters the next time. I'm doubtful. I don't know. I mean, I don't want people who watched the game to know what their thoughts were. But Ryan Kreidler, by the way, I mean, we're not going to talk about the offensive struggles because it's pretty obviously it is. But he did make a good, fine play out there with his glove. So
walked twice.
Yeah, walked twice. There you go. See, I mean, it's not. See, at least it's not the 2019 days where, the Tigers struck out 15 times and there's not much, it's a lot of things of prayer and hope, but
you can see now, and they talk about it on TV a lot, but it's true. I mean, batter after batter goes up there with a plan now, and that was demonstrably not the case for the latter half of the previous decade, right?
Yeah.
Now, so just that has been very fun to watch, and certainly hope it continues.
I mean, I think that the biggest thing for the Tigers going forward, we're doing here's the road, going back to the Milwaukee trip for a moment here.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing that what worries me about the Tigers is when the offense goes to sleep, it goes to sleep, and that's a concern. I mean, I think the Tiger and I think Sergio is correct. It's going to be Cleveland and Detroit competing for this division. The Twins. Let's talk about a couple takeaways from the. Let's talk about a couple takeaways from the road series in general. Minnesota is beat up again. I mean, I think they just called up a prospect because they're just dangerous.
Luke Keeschel.
Yeah, Luke Keeschel.
Who could have saw that coming?
Yeah. I feel like we make a Twins injury update every time we're on the podcast, right? Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Yeah, at least the last 3-4 weeks. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, Twins are. I know. Like, I will say this. I mean, the Tigers did get. I mean, with the win on Monday, the Brewers were just coming back from Arizona. They caught the Brewers flat-footed a little bit, and it was a little weird to see Tyler Alexander get not once, not twice. Well, he got beaten 3 times?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he got outs. No, he got outs with them. That's what's crazy about it. Is one of them he deflected to the second baseman, I think. And the other one he managed to scramble and get to it and throw the guy out at first. So I mean, hey, he worked with it.
Yeah.
Well, both in games 2 and 3, then the Brewers starter was solid, and they got to their bullpen, and their bullpen is a strength, right? And the Tigers just had nothing against the Brewers bullpen. So that was kind of what decided those games.
Yeah. And that's where I think the one thing I will say that I really took away from the series is how good Junior is. I mean, as just a fielder, as a presence out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna be a good player. I mean, the Brewer. I mean, and also what they had Bryce. What was their second baseman? I'm drawing a blank on something. Yeah, another solid quality hitter too.
Every guy on the Brewers can run. Did you notice that? I mean, like, every guy can really move. So that's kind of how that team's gonna be built, I believe.
Yeah, it's yeah, it was, again, the Brewers are a team that are I think they're just gonna be a pesty team in the NL Central. But the Tigers, again, the Sunday game against Richardson was a game where I don't know what you guys thought about that game, but it was. Richardson is a guy who you look at, again, he looks a little, like I said this last week, and I'll say it again. His numbers, you look at his numbers, you look at them on paper, you're just wondering, okay, Tigers going to get to this guy. Not the case. And he went out there and in the 5-1 victory, I thought he pitched pretty good. I mean, this is a guy who went out there, 5 innings, gave him exactly what they needed, which was some sort of like, but then you face Griffin Jacks, Griffin Jacks has got some really ridiculous stuff. And, it was a game that you had a feeling like Richardson was either the Tigers were going to feast or famine on him. And that's exactly what happened.
Well, it also took Casey Mize having his first kind of off game of the season. He wasn't going to keep up a sub-0 ERA, so 4 earned runs to the Twins seems okay. You're just like you said though. You mentioned this earlier, and I know I've kind of been the bad guy when it comes to the Tigers' offense, and we did talk about how they did have a bunch of contributors today, and that's really good. But they are going to be prone to slumps. I do worry, and you're just going to wonder how often that's going to come up this year where you see prolonged slumps like that. And AJ Hinch talked about it this week about how it's really hard for younger teams to deal with prolonged slumps like that because what you are trying to do in those situations is not get a smart at bat. You're trying to hit the hell out of the ball and be the hero and smack a home run, or you're trying to do everything in that at bat. And that's something a young team can struggle with, but it's something that you saw against Milwaukee, and I don't know. It almost feels like the hitting's contagious and the slumping's contagious. So outside of a couple guys right now, anyway.
What I liked tonight was, I'm very much. I've been on a crusade, right, for this whole decade. They have to add power. They have to add power, and I always will believe in that. You win with home runs, but tonight with the wind blowing in, they still found a way to crank out some runs without the home run. So that was kind of nice to see. I thought, especially Torkelson's double was a big one.
Yeah, and this is an offense too that has been like a solo home run machine kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And now, yeah, it is good to see that those kind of I don't say gappers, but lack of a better word, it's just
They kept the line moving.
They got the line moving, and that's all that matters, and that's exactly it. And but it's been like a theme across the minor leagues too. Like the Tigers have just been, it's either feast or famine on the offensive side of things. Max Clark's getting on base because he's walking, he's drawing, he's doing it really good at bats. Same thing with Erie's walking a lot. So the philosophy across the board does reflect that, and so that's why the Tigers are able to. I think that's a big reason why they're staying competitive, or going to be competitive this year. And the organizational philosophy is coming into fruition quite a bit here. And so, in the ugly days of April, weather-wise, I mean, we're finally here in Metro Detroit. By the way, it was Monday. It was like 48. It was like, all these changing pressures and everything like that. I'm over it. So, but Dingler, as far as like, there's some questions on YouTube that we'll get here in a second. But one of them one of them was one of those like, Dingler has been very, very good. And he went 1-for-4 tonight. I know he had a bad throw. Somebody was saying something online about that, but the guy is solid behind the plate. I don't know what you guys' thoughts are on Dingler in the absence of Jake Rogers.
I think he's getting a great opportunity and he's seizing it. I mean, that's really what else is there to say? We talked about it even in the first week of the season. The way he was swinging the bat, we had a little segment on this show about could he eventually overtake Rogers and start getting the lion's share of the playing time. Now Rogers' injury has kind of graced that upon him, and he's not backing down from it. He's swinging a good bat. One bad throw, I mean, big deal. He's a good catcher back there. You can tell he knows what he's doing. He's athletic enough, that's for sure. It's really, really fun to see. And if Jake Rogers comes back healthy and just plays his normal game, that's a strong catcher situation.
Well, you kind of know what you're getting with Jake Rogers at this point, right? I mean, Jake Rogers has been in the league a long time. You're going to get a low average guy that's going to hit. He's going to hit a bomb
every 3 weeks.
And you're going to see a game where he's like, oh, he's 2 for 2 with 3 walks. What the hell? But you know exactly what you're going to get. You know that there's a ceiling on him, and we're Dingler's still trying to figure out what he's going to be. Obviously, he's still a young player, and I'm not saying he's going to hit 300, but to see an offensive production shortstop, one we haven't seen since the former GM's son was on the team, really, that'd be huge. I almost, maybe this isn't the right way to look at things, but I've always looked at Jake Rogers like I've always been fine with him at catcher. When people ask me questions about the catching, I'm like, yeah, Jake Rogers isn't going to be your best offensive player, but he's fine. But he's like really good defensively, so it's going to be totally fine. But having Dingler is just a luxury that I never thought that would be possible. Like it's something that I just kind of dismiss. I'm like, oh yeah, you can get offensive production from the catcher spot. Yeah, he's not going to hit 300, but wow, this is awesome.
Well, I mean, I look at it this way. The thing is that Dingler, it was going to take some time with his offensive prowess. I mean, he was a guy who could hit at Ohio State, and the ability was there. It was just a matter of time before he would adjust to it. And so, in terms of offensive production, I mean, look at last year. We saw with Carson Kelly. Now he's doing it with the Cubs quite a bit actually. Mm-hmm. And the Tigers, as far as like offensive production catchers go, homegrown wise, It's been a while. I mean, Brandon Inge technically was a third baseman and moved the catcher. So, I mean, I'm trying to think of the last. I mean, outside of Avila, outside of Alex Avila, I was just trying to think of somebody out other than Avila, and even then, that was like what 2 or 3 year window.
A little more.
A little more than that. Okay.
What was he? I think he took over as a starter in 2010. He made the All-Star game in 2011, right?
Yeah.
So
So Matt wants to know if there's any news on the SEMO case. Nothing. It is like dead silence about it. There's, I mean, even in the back channel kind of thing, there's nothing going on with that. So right now, the Sam Mezen thing is taking over that, unfortunate news. Jacob wants to know if there any news on Verling or Meadows. Not really. The injury update came out, and I don't think I think the injury update was posted yesterday or the day before. No changes on that front, unfortunately.
they make it sound like Meadows is keeping up with his cardio.
Yeah.
That's about it.
It's a lot of and especially speaking of injuries, by the way. So Saturday, it was Saturday where Jason Foley was in the game and his velocity was up. He's been pitching pretty solid. And the trainer came out and he hadn't pitched since. And then you saw Riley Unroe pitching, and it was a bad sign. But also too when they had a chance to call up somebody, and then somebody was texting me about what's going on with Foley. Tigers Discord. It was actually I'll give credit to Jake, who noticed the trainer came out, and then I watched it again. I'm like, oh crap. So that being said, Foley is on the IL. Not sure what the case of the injury is, and so they had Joe Adamitz come up from West Michigan to pitch tonight, and threw him in the Wolves against Indianapolis.
I think I saw somewhere they said shoulder strain, Raj.
Yeah, shoulder strain. Okay, all right. But as far as like what caused a shoulder strain or anything like that, you know how shoulder strain is a very vague term, so that's why I kind of that caveat there. But it's unfortunate. Somebody was also asking about Andrew Chafin earlier on Tiger Market Report, but yeah, he's up to 90-91 right now. The velocity's still not there yet. We'll see. I mean, and then also it was news this week too. Wilmer Flores has moved from the 7-day IL to the 60-day IL, which is a big setback for him. So, yeah, it's not pretty right now as far as like injuries go across the board. So, all right, let's move on to our first segment of the evening, and that is the Inside the Numbers. All right, I'm not allowed to go through all the way tonight. All right, Mike, what is your inside number this evening?
All right, this one's. I'm a little sad to highlight it, but I thought I was worth bringing up. My number is 3. It was the number of home runs that Kiter Montero gave up in his spot start. He threw 5 total changeups yesterday, and 2 of those home runs were on changeups. They were literally middle, right over the heart of the plate. I don't think I'm necessarily worried about it, but I just thought it was worth bringing up because I know that Roger's really high on him, and generally this show has been relatively high on Kiter Montero. It was a little rough to see, but I believe he did have, 8 or 9 strikeouts yesterday as well. And I don't think I'm worried. I just wanted to bring up Kiter in general and see what you guys thought about his start too. I think that I was hoping he'd progress more than what he gave us. And what I mean by that is you saw flashes of what you think he could absolutely be. And then you see the hot dogs that he gave up and the 5 runs, the 3 home runs. And you just kind of saw, both sides of it. And that's kind of what you saw a lot last year. So I was just curious what you guys thought of his start too.
Well, for me, a couple of them are solo homers, right? I almost never care. I mean, solo homers happen. When you look at how he pitched last year, he had the one perfect game or complete game, that gem. He competed pretty well as a rookie. He got off of a fast start in Toledo this year. It's one game on the road in a spot start. Whatever, it's fine. I really think that the 8 strikeouts were just as important, if not more so. I had to listen on the radio. I was working, but boy, from what Dickerson was saying, they thought it looked really nasty. he could. No reason why he can't come out in his next start whenever he gets one and go 6 innings, allow 2 runs, and everybody's happy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm with you, Burr. I mean, I think that he went out there and against a team like the Brewers, who are the Brewers have some, like I said, we talked about some of the talent they have. I thought his swing and miss stuff was pretty good. It's just when he hangs it over. I mean, he really, that's the problem with him. There's still stuff there that indicates that he's gonna be a good pitcher. However, when he makes a mistake, he gets punished pretty quickly. So that's the problem. And his changeup isn't like Olson's, where it has that really tumbling action to it. Just kind of flats. Sometimes it just gets there, but I'm not worried about it. It's a luxury for the Tigers to have right now, and he gave them exactly what they needed, which was innings.
Yeah.
I mean, was he a sacrificial lamb a little bit? Maybe, but it's perfectly okay.
Of course, yeah. I wasn't saying I was worried. Okay. Just wanted to hear you guys' opinion on his start, because I don't know. I'm a huge fan of Carter Montero. I know Aurelio has been for sure.
Gee, I couldn't tell by your background or anything. No.
Well, I was going to talk about him. I had to.
No, and the thing is that for me as a Hispanic person, it's just cool to see a Tiger starter that speaks the language and everything like that. I mean, I'm going to be like, of course, there's more to it, of course, but the fact is, it's just like the Tigers also, in terms of like international signing wise, have not really. It's been a long time since they've had a starting pitcher. Relievers, you can talk about Soto, you can talk about, Jimenez was technically he wasn't international signing. He was an undrafted free agent signing, I believe. I can't remember. Yeah. So, but for an international arm out of Venezuela, the Tigers have not really. It doesn't happen very often. So it's good to see that, and I'm really really stoked for that. So, Uper, what is your insider number?
Okay, my number was 351 going into tonight, ninth and 5th. The Tigers allowed 1 earned run tonight, so obviously the 351 was their ERA entering this evening as a team. Obviously, that went down tonight. They came in 9th in MLB in ERA, probably moved up a couple spots, maybe to 7th or 8th tonight, and they're 5th in runs allowed per game. They were tied with Tampa. And Tampa allowed 6 runs tonight, so they moved ahead of them. So they're really, the statistics are matching the performance. You know what I'm saying? What we're seeing with our eyes, the numbers are telling us the same thing. The Tiger pitching staff is top to bottom and pretty effective. They're getting very few blowout starts. Nobody's getting chased off the mound in the first or second inning very often, or if at all. And the bullpen, maybe Bo Brisky's off to a slow start, but everybody else is doing a really bang-up job. And it'll be interesting to see how far this team can go on the backs of this pitching staff. But that's why I think it's important that they bring Montero up. That they have some depth behind the crew they started the season with. So that's why it's going to be very interesting to see, who in AAA and AA positions themselves to contribute as the season continues.
Yeah, and that's where, right now, Matt Manning is kind of hit. I mean, he's been working on some pitches, so I know you look at the stat line, but he's been at least he's been trying to do some things. Like he's trying to develop a cutter. He's trying to, trying to get some things going. So that's always a work in progress. So there's more to it if you look at the advanced metrics for somebody like Manning, but still, the depth there, even outside of that right now.
Melton. Can Melton be ready this year?
So Melton's good. I mean, Melton looks really good. He's been going to Greg Ging accused me of saying the same thing he was saying about he's throwing the top of the zone. Well, it's true, Greg. It's pretty obvious what he's doing. Throwing the top of the zone, bottom of the zone. His fastball looks like 95. Looks really sharp. He's a guy who there's some people think he has reliever risk, but I was talking to Brandon Day of Busty Boys about this. I think he's going to be a solid starter. He looks a lot more comfortable challenging the hitters in the zone this year. And Akron, against Akron, I just watched him in the strike against Akron. Look really good against a really good Akron team. This is not Akron's one of the better teams in the Eastern League. But after that, it's just Erie's rotation. I think is way better than Toledo's rotation. I mean, bar none. Toledo's just kind of it is what it is. It's more cast off of bullpen arms versus starters, And Erie's been a fun watch. I mean, Jake Miller's been pitching really good. He's got pitches to contact, but does a really good job mixing stuff up and gets some really good swing and miss stuff. Jaden Ham has been off to a
That's
good
what I
start.
wanted to talk about. Yeah, I wanted to hear what you had to say about Jaden Ham.
So Jaden Ham, I think the one thing he still needs to develop is a little more velocity, a little bit, but he does a good job with the strike zone. He played Bowie against Bowie. He looked a little rough, but again, it was also the weather too could be the case. But he just needs to get a little more velocity. I mean, the one thing about the Tigers, interesting enough, I was talking to John Verberg, the former editor at MCB, friend of the show,
smart guy.
John is like he knows his stuff. I mean, he doesn't. It's just amazing. He'll say something and you're just like, oh well, and then it's spot on. And so one of the things that him and I were talking about, and it makes a lot of sense, is the Tigers don't have so Chris was talking about the Mets on the minor league show on Monday, and how the Mets have 3 or 4 guys that can throw over 99, 100, just ridiculous. The Tigers don't have that luxury right now. I mean, they have RJ Pettit who can throw 97, 98. But in terms of starters right now, I mean, Owen Hall, we'll get to Owen Hall pitched today, made his second pro start. It's 93, 95 right now, some of the starters. And so the Tigers don't have that power starter right now. I mean, Melton would be the closest thing to it. Rainer Castillo's even velocity down. But again, it's April, so I'm not really worried about this right now. But that being said, Castillo's still in high A. But then there's just, like I said, the depth is there enough to overcome this. But the problem is that I'm not sure when Sawyer Gibson Long is going to come back and what have you.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. If they can hold it together till the end of May, I think they'll be fine. Whenever Cobb comes back as well.
Here's a question I have for you. I've been meaning to ask you and I haven't gotten around to it. But when we think back to last year, and with the pitching chaos and the little known guys who contributed, if we were sitting here last April and we said Brendan Hannafy and Sean Gunther were going to get critical outs for the team down the stretch, people would have laughed, right? And when you look at the ragtag crew that kind of on paper that they have in Toledo right now, who's the one guy that you think could be a contributor that surprises us come August? Is there one?
Right now in Toledo?
This is a pure guess. Or double A for that.
No, you know what? Okay, if I'm going to guess, you know what? Okay, if there's, I'll go. You know what? Let's see here. I'm going to guess 2 guys right now off the top of my head that could make a difference that are you wouldn't think of, just come out of nowhere kind of thing. Because that's the true definition of it. Mm-hmm. I think a guy like Wilkill Hernandez, Bailey Horn comes to mind too. Bailey Horn has been throwing hard. Winkiel is a guy who can start or relieve, but I think he's better suited if he's relieving because he just can air it out there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put a guy like Tyler Owens because he's already on the 40-man. He's a guy he's already going to get some attention. Lyle Lockhart Jr., I want to believe in that. I still do, but at the same time, it's just more unsure about that. And in Double A, Matt, I know I'm going to get some really weird grief for this, but I want to make sure I say his name correctly. I've been watching him pitch quite a bit. A guy by the name of Matt Steelinger, who's been pitching he was a independent league signing last year and had his numbers prior to that, before he signed independently when he was in Reading with the Phillies, was never a big strikeout guy. He struck out 47 and 27 or something like odd innings last year for Erie. He throws just a curveball, and he's a guy who's just I think what the Tigers are doing is specializing him and making him a weapon.
Yeah.
Making him a weapon, and they're figuring out a way to how the Tigers have it now. He's a guy. I'm not saying he's going to be up in Detroit or anything, but he's a guy to watch out for. I really like. I've been watching his stuff in relief, and he looked really good. I know we talked about RJ Pettit. We Chris and I admittedly did not talk about Pettit enough last year. He quietly had a good year last year, and he's on people's radar. Andrew Magno too is another guy I really like a lot. But those, the first 2 I mentioned and Seelinger are guys who I could come out of nowhere and do something.
Okay.
So, speaking of, so my number, by the way, let's see here. With Bruce, I'll get to the question before we get to my inside number. With 6 starters and 5 relievers, is Kenta Maeda secure? You know what? I don't know. I mean, you know why? Bruce. The reason why I'm saying I don't know to give the cop out answer for that. this organization surprises me all the time. I mean, if the fans had it their way, McKinstry would have been cut 5 times last year. The only thing I think that if there's a clause in his contract, then if they find a way to get him, then okay. But I don't know. I just don't see that. I don't see that happening right now at this point. So I don't know what you think.
I think it's good. I mean, he's just basically a sideshow, right? I mean, he's there to mop up a big win or a big loss.
Yeah,
you've got to believe
he is Darko.
As the season wears on, and the game of attrition, starts to take its toll, like it always does with pitching staffs everywhere. They're going to need that spot to be somebody who can pitch meaningful innings. You would think. I mean, and if that's the case, then they're going to have to bite the bullet and pay him the money and send him off.
Oh, speaking of Gunther, by the way, Gunther is heading back he pitched in Lakeland today, pitched in rehab today in Lakeland. So he is on the rehab trail. So he could be coming back and making a difference at some point. So, but what about you, Mike?
Holy crap! I just completely lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?
Maeda's
staying on the team because of his salary. Oh my god! I literally have it open right here. Kenta Maeda is. I really do think. I'm sorry. I'm going to be that guy. I really do think that his salary is going to stay on until maybe the trade deadline. I could see them maybe cutting him around then, but I just don't think they're going to let him go for nothing. I think they're going to try to squeeze as much out of him as they possibly can before they end up letting him go.
Yeah. This is a team that doesn't
think that has something to do with it.
Yeah. I just, it's a type of team that, I mean, as much as people want him to be gone, it's not going to happen. I mean, it's just.
That's how I feel. Yeah. That's how I felt about it since last year. Everybody wanted him cut last year, and I was like, especially last year, I'm like, no, they're not letting him go for like that. Not when they're going to have to pay him $10 million this year. So it's just not. It's not how. I don't know. He's here to stay for at least the short term.
Yeah. He'll probably be here, like I said. It's going to be probably here till middle of the summer kind of thing. I mean, if that, I mean, he might be here the whole year. Who knows? My inside number, by the way, is so looking at, and this goes for West Michigan. The number is 6, and that was the number of strikeouts that Kenny Suera, the knuckleballer, got tonight in the West Michigan's 2-1 win over South Bend. And this is a guy who really does not belong in high A, ladies and gentlemen. He just does not. I mean, for roster crunch purposes, he's there. So far in the 3 games he's appeared, he has 11 innings worth 3 hits, 1 walk, 12 strikeouts. Batters are batting a .88 against him.
Wow.
That's my second number. He has no business being in high A. He knows it. He probably knows it too. So,
1 walk for a knuckleballer is pretty good.
Yeah, that's really good. So bring him to Erie, bring him to Toledo, whatever you got to do to challenge this guy. But yeah, I just figured this is a guy who, by the way, grew up in the Midwest, grew up in Chicago, went to Dayton. This weather probably doesn't bother him whatsoever. None.
Next, R.A. Dickey.
Yeah, so. But yeah, that's my inside number 6 and .88. So I think Kenny Suera, Deadly Ninja Bees, I think he goes to Erie for a little bit. If he goes to Erie, masters Erie, he could be, you know what, that's a guy you also could maybe see in Detroit by the year's end. If all injury chaos, if pitching chaos creates again, who knows? I mean, the Tigers haven't had a knuckleballer since what, Steve Sparks?
Boy, that would be my only guess. Yeah, I can't think of one since then.
Yeah, I know. If Chris was available, I know he would know somebody off the top of his head more quickly than I would. As far as Steve, I think Steve Sparks is the last knuckler I can think of that threw it consistently for the
I would
Tigers.
think so.
So, all right, let's go into our next segment. Let's go in the inside number, the good, the bad, the ugly. All right. So there is. I mean, we've already talked about the Twins, so that's been an ugly situation. But Uper, what is your good, the bad, the ugly this week?
All right, my good was we are now 3 months from the MLB draft, and it's one of my favorite seasons. It's mock draft season. The mock drafts are coming out, and I love mock drafts. I'll read anybody's mock draft. I love them, and I know they're meaningless. A lot of times they're throwing darts. Don't care. This is what I love to read. So, Baseball America came out with their mock draft. They had the Tigers with high school uh, center fielder Slater DeBrune, which I thought was interesting, because the Tigers have gone high school the last couple of years. This guy is kind of the reviews kind of read like a poor man, not even a poor man. It's just another Max Clark type of player, not a lot, not so much power forward, more of a hitter, a guy who will stay in center field, pretty athletic. So it'll be interesting to see. I just like that he's Dutch. I'm not Dutch, but I live here in Iowa where there's a lot of Dutch people. So I want to call him Dutch treat. I want to say if he ain't Dutch, he ain't much. All those type of things. So we'll see. We'll see if that comes to fruition. And Baseball America had the Tigers taking Riley Quick from Alabama, the pitcher, with their second pick. The Tigers' success out of Alabama. Alex Vila was good. Dylan Smith has not come around. And then
Spence Turnbull.
He's
through no hitter.
He was in the minors for like 9 years and then surfaced and was serviceable. So we'll see if Riley Quick becomes a Tiger draft pick in time. My bad is I don't know how many people listen to any radio broadcasts on the MLB app. Okay. They have this horrific commercial between innings that they play incessantly, trying to tell us that we need to learn the terminology of MLB, and that on the app.
Oh, I know. Oh God,
you can learn
the Oppo Taco commercial.
Yeah, Oppo Taco.
Oh God, that's so bad.
They have another one. There's a thing called the ephus pitch, kids. What's an ephus pitch? And my whole thought of this is, and I we rip on MLB a lot, but how dumb do they think we are, number one? And number two, who do they think is listening to this app now? It's people somewhat like me who knows what an ephus pitch is and known about that for over 40 years, okay? MLB continually treats their fan base like they're stupid at times, and it just drives me nuts. And this is just another little one. It's unimportant, but it's bad. It's just terrible radio. And I went the good, the bad, and I'm happy tonight because I am happy about one thing, non-Tigers related. I'm a big Corbin Carroll fan. I have been since he came up.
Spider-Man.
My in-laws live in Arizona, so I at least casually follow the Diamondbacks so I can have discussions with them because they're baseball fans. I mean, my mother-in-law, for instance, she could see a picture of Zach Gallen and say, that's Zach Gallen. So, that kind of thing. So, Corbin Carroll, obviously last year, he was great as a rookie, came out last year and was in a deathly slump. He was brutal for the first 3-4 months, made some changes, was solid down the stretch last year, and now he's come out smoking this year. I think he's hit the ball. His 4 or 5 hardest hit balls of his career have all been so far this season, with a max of about 115. He looks like he's got the bat more upright, and maybe he's quicker to the ball from there, but he seems like he's covering everything. When he was in that slump, they could get him inside, no problem. So really happy to see Corbin Carroll back. Right now, if I'm guessing MVP in the National League, I think you could do a lot worse than Corbin Carroll.
All right, yeah, that's a good one. They call him. I think they call him Spider-Man. There's some nickname they were calling him Corbin. Yeah, I think that's what something was.
I believe it.
Yeah. Yeah. Mike, what's yours?
Oh, I was muted. My mistake. So, for my good, kind of brought this up earlier, but last week I brought up in my good, bad, and the ugly how my ugly was the Tigers offseason offensive additions. But I thought I'd spend my good to talk about their pitching additions with Brebbia and Canely. I wrote this before Canely pitched 2 shutout innings tonight, but you combine them, they both have a sub 1.5 ERA. Brebbia has a couple walks, Canely has no walks. They're both averaging roughly a strikeout an inning, and they're both looking like important anchor bullpen pieces for the Tigers. So I just think it's worth pointing out that, yes, I was being angry about their offseason additions last week, but really they signed a couple good pitchers, and it's worth highlighting.
As you should, because they especially Kingsley has been just a little more than I expected. Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'd be interested to see a deep dive into Brebbia's stats from someone. Maybe I'll do it myself because he looks. I never felt like he looked like this when he was with the White Sox. You know,
No.
I mean, it was the White Sox.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I think it seems like he's had some success up in the zone right now, and I don't know how that will continue. We'll see.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
They and I just thought it was interesting. They are like the veteran presence on this team too. They are the 2 oldest players on the roster at 35. I know Alex Wood is out still. I think he's 35 or 36, maybe even a little older. But I just thought that was interesting. I don't even really know if it matters, but just something I noticed. The bad I have is, for me, my Dodgers takes. I was pushing the narrative last week and the week before, really like, oh man, they're going to challenge that 116 record. They're going to be crazy. They're not going to lose many series. It'll be nuts. They've lost 3 straight series. Well, they swept the Rockies, but before that, they had lost 3 straight series. They're 14-6. It's not like they have a bad record, but they have a 16-0 loss to the Cubs already this year, and the Cubs aren't going to win 116 games either. So I just think I need to pump the brakes on that, and thought it was worth calling myself out on my bad on that. And I egged you guys on too. Like we spent time on it, and that was my fault. So sorry for that. But with my ugly, I'm curious what your guys' opinion is on this. My ugly is more of a concept, and it happened earlier this week. What I mean by that is when you see the benches clear in baseball, right? And you see that real awkward moment where the cameras pan out to the outfield and you watch all your bullpen guys kind of jog in single file and catch up to the rest of the brawl, right? And so what happened was Jorge Lopez hit Brian Reynolds on the Pirates, hit him with a pitch, and then on his next pitch, right at McCutchen, he threw it right at his head, 92 mile an hour. McCutchen dropped to the ground. Nothing really happened at first. There's a rule, I guess, newer, that they can catchers can, umps can eject a guy if something like this happens. Mm-hmm. So the umps were kind of conferring, and McCutchen and Lopez were kind of jawing back at each other, right? Nothing really got physical. They were just yelling at each other.
They're pulling LeBron.
Yeah, nothing was happening. But sure enough, you look out, and in their windbreakers, just a light jog from the bullpen. You got all the bullpen guys, and I'm thinking to myself, it was so awkward to watch. They weren't sprinting. It wasn't necessary. Nobody was really doing anything. Nobody was really saying anything. And I just want to know how you guys feel about the bullpen jogging in these instances, because I kind of hate it.
You can always tell the severity of the fight by the speed of the bullpen jog.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
if they see a punch being thrown, they're moving, right?
Yeah, you're right.
But when they know it's just kind of they're standing around playing grab ass with each other, then it's kind of a light jog. I would always love to see some top-rated reliever, a non-Tiger, hopefully, come up lame and pull up a hamstring as he's running in. I think that would be the best.
You know what? Look, if we're talking like some of the best all-time moments, and I wasn't even alive for this, but when I saw this happen, I'm gonna show this right now. One of the things that when I saw this and then realized that it was involving, I think he ended up injuring himself, and I think you would know this, you better than I would. Dave Rosema against the Twins, and I think it was the Karate Kick, 1983. Was it 82, 83? I want to say.
Yeah, I think 83, but whatever. Yeah,
yeah.
Karate Kick and blew his knee out.
Yeah, let's see if we have. Yeah, so I have it here. Let me share the screen, and let's go into mayhem here, because here's the big thing that you were talking about, Mike. If you look at the sprint speed of the bullpen from here, here's Lemon. Just look.
Chet Lemon was ready to kick ass.
Yeah. And he had every right. Because they were getting chippy during the whole entire thing.
It was a different game then, too.
Yeah. No, this is of course. But just out of nowhere, just, they pan up, and then you just see. All right, this is the second part of that. Like, this is the second part of the game where they get a little chippy there. And Enos Cable, don't mess with that dude. That guy was a beast. He was doing a lot of blow. He was doing a lot of blow back then, too. Fun fact. Look at this. Larry Herndon.
Larry Herndon is throwing haymakers.
Soft-spoken Larry Herndon. Nope. Don't you even. Nope. And look at the bullet. Look at the one guy. Look at the guy. Well, the guy in the middle for the Twins. Like Kevin Saucier. That's the guy too. Comes out of nowhere. Just it was one of those crazy. Oh, here it is. Oh, was it Rich Hebner? Yeah. Look at it. Sparky took him.
The grave digger.
Oh.
Hebner.
Oh, yeah, look right there. That oh man. Is that Sparky? That's Rosema right there. Oh,
and he had been pitching really well before that too.
Yeah, yeah. He was, because correct me if I'm wrong, he was kind of like in the doghouse, right?
Yeah.
At that point, yeah, because he was kind of not being effective anymore, and he threw a karate kick, and Kyle Farnsworth, good call there, bada boom, bada bing. That is another one too. That guy, like, now he was
looking for fights.
Was he is he a cage fighter or something now?
I wouldn't doubt it. The guy was a little nuts.
Yeah, that guy was nuts, man.
He probably was a little roided up, a little rage.
Yeah, he did that. I remember him doing that against he was with Cubs too, right? Yeah, this is him with the Cubs. You know what? Screw it. Let's just keep Mike, to answer your question, it is all about bullpen speed, isn't it? If they're sprinting out there, there's going to be something like this. There's going to be some chaos, right? Here we go. And he turns the corner, turns the base. Excuse me, corner. And here we go. Here we go. Barry Larkin is Barry Larkin, soft-spoken Barry Larkin, just getting in the middle of this. But you can tell by the sprint speed. Mike, it is, if they're doing a jog, they're like, well, let's survey the situation. If they're sprinting out there, there's blood going to be spilled. Or that's what I think.
That's how you judge the storm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the magnitude of it.
Yeah.
The Padres Braves fight from the early 80s is a classic with Pascual Perez.
Oh, Pascal, yeah. He just passed away, didn't he? Recently, yeah. Yeah. But to answer your question, yeah, it's all about the speed of which they came out of.
Let me tell you, watching those Pittsburgh bullpen guys just kind of jog in a straight line, they were like out for their morning jog. It was just so awkward, and I was like, oh,
you know,
why are we doing this?
It reminds me, like, the visual of it, because I watched that. It reminded me of like when like seagulls come in for food, like they're like kind of they see the food, they're not sure what to do, they kind of like walk around a little bit, like they're presenting they're looking at the surveillance situation. It's just like look at seagulls. Like I know it sounds like a weird comparison, but anyway,
I can see it.
Yeah, just yeah. Anyway.
Oh, and Kyle Farnsworth competed in the 2022 National Physique Committee Southern USA Championships in Orlando. He placed first in 3 categories.
Nice.
Yes!
Man, that's insane. Like just wow.
Oh yeah, he's ripped. I forgot.
There's he is. Yeah,
that
boy is good.
Oh, good time.
Oh man. All right, and you get an ugly too at all?
That was my ugly.
Okay.
The awkward jogging.
So,
all right.
Tell me this.
What's that?
At what point do we think Spencer Torkelson's going to have this kind of a season? Because we're still in the middle of April.
I'll answer that question. We'll answer that question after the good, the bad, the ugly, because I do want to. Let's get that done, and then we'll finish off with the conversation with the Torkelson conversation. Porcello, the Porcello thing, that's a good one too. GD Ham said when Willie Horton was on the team, we always played against timid teams. That's true. I mean, that was a different game then too as well. So, excuse me, sorry. It's been up since 5 o'clock in the morning. So
we didn't do your good bad, did we? I'm sorry.
No. I was just gonna say. So there's two. I have like a good, the weird, and the, as you would used to say, the funky. So the good was in for people that live in Portland. Lawmakers approved the selling $800 million in bonds for an MLB stadium in Portland. So keep in mind that Portland has had minor league baseball three to four times. They've had the Beavers a couple times. They had the Mavericks, and it's failed each time. Not, and I think they had, 3 or 4 times, either way, regardless. But that area right there is like, the Pacific Northwest, in my experience, is a very good sports area, very rich in sports and everything. And they love baseball there. They love baseball in Washington, too. They are really big on baseball there. So that's good for people that are out that way who want to watch baseball. The weird is ESPN deciding to go with the Savannah Bananas after MLB opt out, which cracks me up because I also think that, and the Savannah Bananas, by the way, were featured on 60 Minutes.
Yeah.
Now I think there's two schools of thoughts when it comes to the Savannah Bananas. Either you like them or you hate them. I don't think there's an in between. I really don't think. I mean, I don't mind them. I've watched the games. It's not my cup of tea, but I like it. It's fun. It gets people watching baseball. I mean, they sell out everywhere they go. That's the goal. They get younger people involved.
Kids love it.
And it's what's up? We're gonna say, Mike.
It's this generation's Harlem Globetrotters, right?
Yeah. And this is something that's like barnstorming baseball. This goes back to something that happened over 100 years ago.
Sure.
I mean, there used to be the Sioux Falls Ghosts, which was an all-black softball team that used to travel around. There's been numerous cases like this. In barnstorming, it's weirdly weird. They happened over, you think about it, it's 100 years ago that barnstorming came, like the teams used to go, the Tigers used to go to Havana and Cuba in the early 1900s and barnstorm there. So to me, it's kind of cool that they're doing this, And I find it funny. So here's how it's going to work for this. So they're going to ESPN2, Disney Plus, and ESPN Plus will air 10 Friday night and Saturday night games for the Banana Ball World Tour, which begins on April 26th. The games will be held at several football stadiums as well as Fenway Park and Camden Yards. So the reason why this is weird is because, here's Rob Manfield going, well, ESPN didn't treat us like a priority, blah, 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 but well, folks, you're not marketing the game right. I mean, we cover this game, and, the way you handle Jackie Robinson Day, don't even get me started on that. I mean, like, just, they treat it like it's ESPN is throwing acts, like, as Deadly Ninja Bees has indicated, pillow fights. They're actually throwing pillow fights. That's a real, like, I thought people were joking with that.
That was an Ocho thing, though.
Yeah, but still, there's professional pillow fighting. Come on, folks. Like, but then again, there's grown men who argue about Transformers on YouTube, as I've discovered, because this guy doesn't look like Generation 1. And there's a lot of really stupid debates. So nothing surprises me anymore at this point in my life. But so yeah, baseball. If that's not like ironic to me that they're like, we just want fun baseball.
I don't mind it at all.
Yeah,
I think that you're anti-fun if you don't like them. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah,
it's just fun.
I've seen them twice.
Amen.
Once each of the last 2 years. We've had a great time. My wife goes. She's enjoyed it. My daughter is gone. My son is gone. It's been a family night out. Had friends who come with us the next time. It's a night at the ballpark that you would be sitting at home watching Dateline otherwise. So, I mean, Come on, give me a break. They're good for baseball. Anything that, gets people to a ballpark and having a good time might bring them back for another game. Old
BK's spot on. It's not an ESPN problem. It's an MLB problem. He's right. He's absolutely right. And, I think if ESPN didn't have the same 5 teams every over Sunday Night Baseball, Boston, New York, Cubs, New York, Cubs, Braves, Cubs. It's. But also at the same time, I mean, everybody, you can argue about the regional game, but at the same time, baseball doesn't market itself really good at all. They don't, flat out, and it's just getting worse. The weird this week involving, so I'm not going to say the teams involved, but so my brother, actually, it's I'll end the weird on two things. One, Jazz Chisholm, after striking out, went on social media, immediately complained afterwards tonight. So, dude, you're in New York. You're one of the worst in terms of media markets. One of the toughest media markets. I mean, worse as in like the fans are going to like treat you like absolute garbage if you're not performing, and then you're out there complaining to the umps on social media. You know how many fans are gonna sit there and go, "Well, you're gonna pinch into the game." So it's and also ESPN does show. Thank you. I was just gonna say. ESPN shows NFL draft covers 300 days of the year. Yeah, there's so many mock drafts. Mock drafts are beginning in January, for Christ's sake, during playoff season. I'm so sick of hearing about the damn NFL draft. That's why I don't watch ESPN. I mean, when I do, I'm watching my sports and that's it. I mean, even the way they've handled the NBA playoffs, don't even get me started on that. But the other weird part of the way that's not an ESPN problem either. No, you're right. NFL domination. NFL is a good product. It's a superior product. But at the same time, I don't want to hear about it 8 days or 8 hours a day. I don't. But so over the weekend, my brother is a coach for a team. And again, I'm not going to say the team he played against, but there's a prestigious team in the area. If you know where I live, you can maybe guess it out. And so they beat this team in the first round of this playoff thing. It was a 10-year-olds, okay? And
Baseball?
Baseball. It was baseball. Okay. It was baseball. And I'll tell you guys the team afterwards because it's just, as soon as I say the team, you guys will know. But my brother is, my nephew plays on there, and the head coach is a guy he went to high school with. The head coach, they were delaying the game because for run differential, they didn't want to play the top team, which was a team that they didn't want to face. He gets kicked out of the game, and he's pointing at his logo going, "You don't want to mess with this blah, 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 this team. You know who we are? You know who we are? You know who we are?" So then he proceeds to then start a fight with the guy who's running the tournament and gets in a fist fight, and the cops are called.
Yeah.
Little League Baseball. You're telling mind you, your team, allegedly, this part's allegedly, you have your son's friends playing, which I've witnessed this firsthand because I was on a team where, Mr. Hawkins, his son wasn't really good at shortstop, and he had him start playing, and he pitched him. And anyway, so he starts to fight, and there was a big fight. Then the team that my brother played, the next team, the team that they're trying to avoid, was also trying to start a fight with the head coach. What the hell's wrong with you people?
Yeah.
Seriously, what is wrong? I mean, Uper, you have the patience of a saint to deal with the crap you dealt with. Because, I'm sitting there just astounded. And Michigan has a hard time right now getting umpires and officials for sporting events. I don't blame you. Why? Why bother going through all this crap? This guy is going off at the ump, and the ump stood up to this guy, too. The ump's like, "I don't care who you are. Point at your logo all you want. I don't care."
Yeah.
What the hell's wrong with you people? It's a game. These kids, like just
10-year-olds.
10-year-olds, man.
What's happened is the parents, it's primarily parents because a lot of parents also coach, but they invest a lot of money now into this and a lot of time. A lot of them are specializing their kid in baseball, or maybe they've got it boiled down to 2 sports. And they expect everything to go little Johnny and Jimmy's way. And when it doesn't happen, it's mind-blowing how they can't control their temper and find a way to bring sportsmanship into the equation. It goes out the window so fast. And it's worse on the youth level. It's a little better in high school because for a bunch of reasons I won't bore people with. But it is getting hard. Right now, I remember last year they had me on a field with a young man, teenager, trying to break into umpiring. And I was on the bases. He was doing the plate, and he missed a couple pitches, whatever. And this was 12-year-olds, right? The coach is in his face in between innings saying, "You need to be better. I need better from you," And I tossed the guy. I mean, I just came walking. And he's like, "You can't toss me." I was talking to him. Yes, I can toss you, and you're out. And I told him, I said, Mo, Larry, and Curly can go with you because there's 3 parents in the stands who were John at the kid too. I mean, this is a kid umpire at a youth game, and the parents are berating him. And that's just a small story that happens everywhere. I saw it this weekend where 2 coaches in Louisiana were bodying up on an umpire and pushing the poor guy back. I mean, it was, last year a guy in New Jersey got his jaw busted. It's hard to believe, but it's not getting better.
Yeah. I mean, Bada Boom Bada Bing brings up Trey Young of the Atlanta Hawks, who always cries. I mean, he's always like, it's the same thing with LeBron, like just softness. Like I don't know.
It's conditioned behavior. When it works, you do it again, and then it works again. And you keep doing it. That's why, man. Yeah. Anytime it works, you're just encouraging it.
It's funny. I was leaving, and my wife was like, I was saying things under my breath because I was just like, this is ridiculous. And she's like, she was like, Roger, shut up, Rogelio, shut up. Because she knows me. She knows me enough to know I can't keep my mouth shut. But I mean, I'm glad I'm like, when I coach, here's the thing. When I coach my son, everybody, my family, all my friends bet that I was going to lose my temper. They were betting on it all the time. And they were always like, they're waiting for a story for me to like, that would go off on a coach or kid. I never did. And you know why? Because it's not the kid's fault. Like the kid was struggling.
Yeah.
I just go out there and go, look, you did the best you could. It's fine. We'll like I gave kids opportunity to pitch. I gave everybody a chance. I never didn't when my son started hitting. I didn't treat him. I still put him at 8th in the lineup because that's what the best place he was. I think and he actually became the team's best hitter. Did he make the All-Star team? No, he did not. Because I wasn't going to do the same thing that I saw other coaches do. My brother and I have talked about this numerous times. My younger brother and I have witnessed parents do this. They bring their kids, friends, and all that stuff. I made a 6th grade basketball team because I was friends with the guys. The coach asked me, he goes, are you friends with so-and-so? Like, yeah, he's cool. I made a team. It was the only time I made, so it was the only time I made the elementary school basketball team. And I usually play rec ball after that. So, no, social media is doing a lot of things too, but it's just, this is not a moral lecture here, but I don't know. It was just interesting to me that baseball can do this to people. And I mean, sports in general, it doesn't matter, but it's just.
And even for me, I'm pretty immune to most of the bitching from people. I mean, I don't care. Say what you want. Really, I probably let more go than some umpires, but it's getting old. I used to work, well over 100 ball games a year. No way anymore. I mean, no. 35, 40 games. I get my fill of it. I get to make a couple calls and I'm work a few games behind the plate and I'm done. It's just not worth it anymore.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'll never forget in 6th grade when we were playing a road game, baseball. This is a road game. We were playing the game on protest. On accident, our guy ran over the guy's foot on accident. His foot was on the bag. There was nothing he can do about it. Avoided it. And the parents, it was the first time I ever seen parents just go off on us. And the umpire was drunk. Like he smelled like alcohol. And
not ideal.
No, and he was sweating it. And my coach knew, Mr. Lemieux was Brian Sikowski and I. But fun fact, Brian Sikowski, Duke baseball. We had the same baseball coach.
Nice. So
Coach Lemieux was awesome. Anyway, we played the rest of the game under protest. He was like, "Screw this. We're not. We as soon as the game was over, we just left. Parents were berating us.
Yeah."
We're at a Catholic school in the backfields of Dearborn somewhere, and anyway.
Yeah, it's insane, and especially at a 9U baseball game. I mean, nobody cares who wins these youth games 2 days later. I mean, no one can remember. Literally, no one can remember who won that tournament by Wednesday.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
The only thing, honestly, you're absolutely right. I remember certain plays about baseball when I was growing up, but I don't remember. I don't remember. I'm starting to like things are starting like. I used to remember the overall records or anything like that, but like I remember, for example, Jason Bicashua, who was a goalie in the NHL. I played against him, and you know he was a left-handed, you know, and so a left-handed pitcher. We too, by the way, it says I coached high school tennis both in Michigan in the '80s and Tennessee now, and kids and the parents have completely changed. Disrespect. The kids are entitled and don't care. The whole society shifted into a
All right. No, we need to calm
let's do a palate cleanser. Let's do a palate cleanser. Let's do a palate cleanser. Let's preview the next couple games for the Tigers. And let's not end the podcast on a moral low ground, or I don't want to say moral low ground, but on a bummer. There we go. That's a better way to say it. Because there's baseball. The Tigers are playing winning baseball. So tomorrow is Harry Potter. Yeah, tomorrow is Harry Potter night, by the way. And then Saturday is Retro Windbreaker, which I'm actually going to go to Saturday game to work the game. I outside of opening day, I've been going to minor league games, but I'm due to go to my to a couple major league games. So tomorrow on the Hill will be Jack Jobe against Cole Reagan. So that's going to be a really good pitching matchup. That game starts at 6:40. Saturday's game will have Casey Mize versus Seth Lugo, another good strong pitching matchup. So back to back good pitching matchups, and then Sunday, Derek Skubal against Michael Waka, who's off to a bad start. We too is a fact. We know it for a fact. So, but there's a lot of good things going on. But anywho, so Jack Jobe will go try to get his second win of his pro career. He got his first major league win on Saturday against the Twins. So hopefully we'll go for the second day. But I don't know if you guys have seen the windbreakers. Tigers are giving away, but check them out. They look really cool. It's kind of like an old school looking logo. It's very 90s. So
Cool.
Yeah. So if you get what's up?
Last time Job was out there against the Twins, right? It seemed like he was getting ahead of people, and he was able to finish them off. Where in the first game he really wasn't, right? That kind of got him through some innings. I'm going to be very interested to see how he and Dingler. Well, yeah, it should be Dingler again tomorrow. How they attack Bobby Witt Jr. Is he going to come with a high heat, or are they going to be going a lot of that sweeper action stuff to get Witt?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think that they maybe, how Hinch is, he doesn't tend to walk people. So I think he'll challenge him with the stuff. Mm-hmm. And hopefully he doesn't serve up a meatball or anything like that. So we'll see. But other than that, as we head off to the Tigers again, after the Royals come into town, they are, let's see here.
The first place Padres coming to town.
Padres coming to town, and that's gonna be a fun series. That's gonna be. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing Fernando Tatis Jr., who's on my fantasy team, and it's been a subject of many stupid trade offers by a guy in our league. You know who I'm talking about, Uber.
Yes.
He did it again. He offered me some crap for Christopher Sanchez, and I told him, and I was very explicit. Stop sending me stupid effing offers. Enough. Dude, I'm not dumb.
He's obsessed.
He's obsessed. He's persistent. I saw the trade offer he's trying to get you, Uber.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, we got 3 games against San Diego. I think I might try to play hooky and go to that Job start on Wednesday next week.
That'd be cool.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. Last year when the Tigers had their run, they went out to, they were in San Diego, and they lost the first 2. And one of them was, if you guys remember, just a mind-blowing loss. It was just disgusting. And a lot of people thought that this is it for them. And that was when they had the Meadows Grand Slam to salvage that third game in the series. And it was really just between 2 good teams. It was well played. I'm excited to see the Padres series. I hope the Tigers can get 2 out of 3 in that one.
Yeah, that would be a very good moral victory too, because the NL West, outside of the Colorado, Colorado just fired their hitting coach, and they made
Bam Bam.
Clint Hurdle is now the hitting coach. So sooner or later, just give me the manager again. He was the manager. Wasn't he the manager before?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Long time.
So Noah. Before we get out of here, with Torque and Mize playing like number one picks, this team will become scary by a bad attitude at the deadline. I think they're positioning themselves too because they have Jace Young. There's a couple prospects they can trade at this point, and it'll be interesting how they handle it if they will actually do a trade this year. Actually, what I mean by that is trade within versus going to trade for other prospects. So, thank you so much for watching us this evening, and if you're listening at home, thank you so much. Stay classy, everybody. And we will see you Monday for the minor league recap with Brandon Day and Chris Brown. Mike, thank you again. Uper as well. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.